Welcome to today's live session on Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are covering the chapter 10, the opulence of the absolute, and we have covered up to verse 16, and we begin from verse 17 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate kirim yat kripatamam vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramanantamadhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Verse 17. Katha vidmyaham yogistvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintayosi bhagavan maya. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In that various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse 18. Vistarenatmano yogam vibhuti cha janardana bhuyah kathaya triptirhi shrunvato nasti me mritam. O Janardan, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. Verse 19. Hantate kathayishyami divya hyatma vibhutayah pradhanyatah kuru shrestha nastayanto vistarasya me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, yes, I will tell you my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjun, for my opulence is limitless. Verse 20. Ahamatma gudakesha sarvabhutasya stitah aham adishcha madhyamcha bhutanamanta evacha. I am the supreme super soul, O Arjun, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Verse 21. Adityam Yanamaham Vishnur Jyotir Tisham Ravi Ranshuman Marichir Marutamasmi Nakshatrana Maham Shashi. Of Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of light, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi, and among the stars, I am the moon. Verse 22. Vedanam sama vedosmi devanam asmi vasavah indriyanam manaschasmi bhutanam masmi chetana. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaved. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind, and in the living beings, I am the living force, that is the consciousness. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vittesho Yaksharakshasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meru Shikharinamaham. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth Kuber. Of the Vasus, I am the fire Agni, and of the mountains, I am the Meru. Verse 24. Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam vidhi partha brihaspatim Sena Nina Maham Skandah Sarasam Asmi Sagarah. Of priests, O Arjun, know me to be the chief Brihaspati of all the generals. I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Verse 25. Maharshinam Bhriguraham Giram Smaye Kamaksharam Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi Sthavaranam Himalayah. Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, that is the Japa. And of the immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Verse 26. Ashwatthah sarva vrikshanam devarshinam cha naradah gandharvanam chitrarthah siddhanam kapilo munihe. Of all the trees, I am the banyan tree, and of all the sages among the demigods, I am Narad. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitrartha, and among the perfected beings, I am the sage Kapil. Verse 27, Uchchahe Shravas Mashvanam Vidhi Mamamrita Todabhavam Airavatam Gajendranam Naranam Cha Naradhipam. Of horses know me to be Uchchahe Shrava, produced during the churning of the ocean. For nectar of lordly elephants I am Airavat, and among men I am the monarch. So, since verse 12, Arjun's been asking about the further inquiries from Krishna, and Krishna has satisfied Arjun through the explanation, and they were all regarding Krishna's qualities and characteristics. And this continues in verse 17 as well. Arjun is asking Krishna in verse 17 that how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In that what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? Now, in chapter 9 also we read that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered by his Yogamaya, the material energy. Only surrendered souls and devotees can see him. Now, Krishna is completely convinced that Krishna who's Arjun's friend as well, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to understand Krishna is only possible if you are surrendered to Krishna and you are a devotee of Krishna, you perform the devotional service to Krishna. Krishna is addressed as Yogin because Krishna is the master of the Yogamaya energy, by which Krishna is covered, and we can't see because of that covering. So we end up thinking only materially. It's only when our thinking is turned into spiritual thinking, then we can see Krishna. And we all have materialistic thinking in this material world. This is the biggest impediment for our progress. In this verse, the word keshu cha bhaveshu is used. Bhava means the physical things, and it refers to the material things. So because materialist people are not seeing Krishna as spiritually, so they are advised to concentrate their mind on the physical things and try to see how Krishna has manifested himself in all the physical representations. And now this will be cleared from verse 18 onwards, that how Krishna is present in the physical things. So how a common man can understand Krishna through that physical presence in the world. So Arjuna is again saying, O Janardhan, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. Now, Bhagwan's vibhutis, the Aishwaryas, the opulences will be described further on. And Arjuna is saying that he's never satisfied by hearing about Krishna, and he wants to hear more and more of his words, of his nectarian words, because the more he hears, the more sweeter it becomes. The Rishis also made a similar statement during the narration of the Bhagavatam to Sutta Goswami in Naimisharanya, which were the Rishis which were headed by the Shaunaka Rishi, and their statement Prabhupada is telling us was, Vayam tu na vitrapayama uttam shloka vikrame Yat shravantam rasa jnanam swadu swadu pade pade. So literally it means one can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish at every step the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, verse 19. It's a very sweet verse. Thus, Arjun is interested in hearing about Krishna and specifically how Lord remains the all-pervading Supreme Lord. So Lord is everywhere. So this Amrit or nectar is going to be heard by Arjun from Krishna. We can see Lord's presence all around us, but sometimes our minds, they're totally absorbed in the material side that we refuse to acknowledge the presence of the Lord around us. So if we open the Bhagavatam, they're all pastimes of Lord, and it's complete with the activities, the pastimes of Lord as he came in different forms in different times. And similarly with the Purans, Prabhupada is telling us they also are full with the complete with the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Lord. So this reading material is always fresh, always naveen, always new. It never gets boring to read the pastimes of the Lord. Everything else our mind gets bored of very easily. Verse 19, Supreme Lord is saying to Arjun, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjun, for my opulences are limitless. So Krishna's opulences are limitless, so Krishna is only going to tell Arjun the prominent opulences of, or the vibhutis of his to Arjun. So Krishna wants to tell that, to show to Arjun that it's better to connect to him. Nothing else is better in this world. And all the vibhutis, their source is Krishna. So if you see something and Krishna is not physically all the things, is not the physical form is not always Krishna, but the opulence, which could be the name, the fame, the strength, the wealth, and beauty and everything, that opulence, the source of that opulence is the Lord. Now these vibhutis are mere spark, while Krishna is the fire. We have to understand it like that. That the fire, the main source is Lord, and all the opulences we see are just a mere spark. It's very difficult to comprehend all the opulences of the Lord. They are limitless, and even the senses of a soul are limited, Prabhupada is telling us. So Lord's topics are always nectarian, relishable, and his discussion about his energies, his opulences, they give transcendental pleasure to the devotees, and they want to hear them more, they want to discuss them. And Krishna is discussing the pradhanayatah. The principle is very important. Prabhupada is telling us that we can understand only a few principal details of the Supreme Lord because his opulences are, his features are unlimited. In this word, the verse, the word vibhuti is used. Vibhuti refers to the opulence by which Lord controls the whole manifestation. In the Amar Kosh dictionary, Prabhupada is telling us that vibhuti indicates an exceptional opulence. In verse 20, Bhagwan is addressing Arjuna as Gudakesh, saying, O Arjun, seated in the hearts of all living entities, I am the beginning, that is the birth, the middle life, and the end of all beings. And this, the final death of all the living beings. And Arjun is addressed as Gudakesh. Gudakesh means the conqueror of the darkness of sleep. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, because Arjun has conquered his ignorance, the darkness of his ignorance now, so he is addressed as Gudakesh. So this is a very significant address to Arjun from Krishna as Gudakesh, because Arjun has got over the darkness of the ignorance. So he is above such darkness. So Krishna is saying that he is everything, that everything begins from him. He is the Atma, the soul of the Mahat Tattva, the universal elements. And the material energy is not the source of the creation. Mahavishnu enters into the Mahat Tattva, the total material energy. He is the soul of that Mahat Tattva. And then Lord manifests himself as super soul into each and every living entity as well. So each living entity has got the spiritual spark of the original fire, which is Krishna, the original source, the original soul. We are all the little tiny sparks of that original soul, which is Krishna. Krishna is present in all of us as super soul. Krishna first enters as soul into the Mahat Tattva, or the universal, total universal elements. In the Subala Upanishad, Prakriti Adi Sarva Bhutanar Yami Sarva Sheshi Cha Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is existing as the super soul in all manifested universes. The three Purush avatars described in the Srimad Bhagavatam are also in the Shatavata Tantra Vishnosh tu Trini Rupani Purushakhyani Ato Vidhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests three features as Karunodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu in this material manifestation. The Mahavishnu or the Karunodakshay Vishnu is described in the Brahma Samhita 5.47. Yaha Karanarnava Jale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord, is the cause of all causes. He lies down in the cosmic ocean as Mahavishnu. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead is the beginning of the universe. He is the maintainer of the universal manifestations, and he is the end of all energy as well. So Lord is the beginning, the middle, and the end of all the universe creations, even all the cosmic creation. There are 14 planetary systems in there, and there are countless universes. So Lord is the beginning, the end, and the middle of all of them. In verse 21, Lord is telling Arjun that of all the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi, and among the stars, I am the moon. So the 12 Adityas, the 12 birth signs, they're all actually Krishna. And of all the twinkling stars, sun is the chief, and that is Lord. And the presiding deity of the sun is Narayan, as we know. This is also in Brahma Samhita as well. Of the 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of those winds, the controlling deity, Marichi, represents Krishna. And among the stars, moon is the most prominent. Krishna is the moon, shining at night. And that star, the moon, also reflects the light of the sun. In verse 22, Bhagwan is saying that of the Vedas, he is the Samaved. Of the demigods, he is Indra, the king of the heaven. Of the senses, in all the living beings, God is the mind. And in living beings, God is the living force, the consciousness. That is why we can never catch our mind, because mind is Krishna. And our consciousness, our living force, is also Krishna. The difference between matter and spirit, Prabhupada is telling the purport, in the very short purport, is that the matter has no consciousness, and therefore consciousness is supreme and eternal, and consciousness cannot be produced by any kinds of combinations of the material energy. People have tried and they have failed. And in verse 23, Krishna is saying that of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of all the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuber. Of all the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru. So there are 11 Rudras, of whom Lord Shiva or Shankar is the prominent one. He is the incarnation of Supreme Lord. He is in charge of the mode of ignorance in the universe. The leaders of the Yakshas and Rakshasas is Kuber, the master of the treasurer of the demigods. And he is also representation of the Lord. Mount Meru is famed for its natural rich resources, and among all the mountains, Krishna says he is Meru. In verse 24, Lord is saying that of all the priests, O Arjun, I am the chief Brihaspati. Of all the generals, I am Kartikeya, and of the bodies of water, I am the ocean. So Indra, the chief of all the demigods of the heaven, he resides in Indralok. Brihaspati is Indra is a priest, and Indra is the chief of all the kings. Brihaspati is the chief of all the priests, and that is also Krishna. Indra is also Krishna. And Kartikeya, the son of Parvati, and Lord Shiva, is the chief of all the military commanders. And of all bodies of water, ocean is the greatest. They are all representations of Krishna. This gives the greatness of Krishna to us, that of all the great things we ever find out in this world, they're all representations of the Lord. In verse 25, Lord says that of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names Japa, like we do. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Lord lives in his holy name as well for us in this Kali Yuga. And of all the immovable things, Lord is the Himalayas. The Himalayas, they are even greater than the Mount Meru, which was described in the earlier verse 24. In verse 26, Lord is saying that among all the trees, he is the banyan tree, and among the sages and among the all the demigods, sages, among sages he is Narad, and of the Gandharvas he is Chitrarth, and among all the perfected beings, Lord is Kapil. So Lord is represented like that. The banyan tree, the Sanskrit for that is Ashwatth. It's the most beautiful tree. It's revered and worshipped. That is also representation of Lord. Of the greatest devotees in the universe, that is representation of Lord as well. Narad. And among the Gandharv planet, which is full of beautiful singing entities, the best singer is Chitrarth. And among the perfect living entities, it is Kapil, son of Devahuti. He is also the representation of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is his teachings are described. And we know of another Kapila. Lord Buddha's name was Kapila before. His teachings were different. In verse 27, Krishna says, among all the horses, know me to be as Uchchaishrava, who was found during the churning of the sea between the demigods and the demons, when Shiva drank all the poison, and this horse Uchchaishrava was produced from the nectar, and also an elephant named Aravat also was produced, and these two are also the representation of Krishna. And among the human beings, the king, the monarch, is the representation of Krishna. He is a representative of Krishna because Krishna is the maintainer of the universe, and similarly kings are also appointed according to their nice qualifications. They maintain their kingdoms, not the present day kings, so to speak of. The kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir, Maharaj Parikshit and Lord Ram, they were the righteous kings who always thought the welfare of their citizens, and they ruled their kingdoms as per the Vedic Vedas, whatever the Vedas said about the right ruling, and which is completely gone in today's day and age. And under those kings, the people were really happy and satisfied. So now we'll carry on from verse 28 next time. Thank you for joining. And month of Keshava has begun today, and this month on the 25th, the Christmas day, it is Gita Jayanti, and so yes, wherever you are in the world, you can recite the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. There'll be a lot of online recitations done, and I will share the links in the coming weeks with you as I get them. With your local temples, perhaps they will organize, and please try to take part in that. It takes no more than 2-3 hours, and it is so blissful to do the reading together collectively. So Hari Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna.